is on topic manage your money and to maximize what we have and ensuring it covers our needs and requirements, avoiding debt and providing security and control over our financial future. This session will be really great, will be of great help. So, without delaying, let's welcome our speaker for the evening, Mr. Shrey, CFA charter holder, head of investment at the Seasons Shrey, a single family office and a mentor for investment management, strategy, career propagation, and leadership development. Shrey is a perpetual learner and a polymath. Over the years, he has played various roles like being a long term investor, research analyst, mentor, content curator, leadership and cultural development, uh, and learning and development, talent management, sales and marketing, and many more. He's also a handwriting analyst across both profit and non-profit organizations. Shrey is also an engineer who has also done his postgraduate in securities market from National Institute of Securities, NISM. Uh, so Shrey, we welcome you at JMA's session. Over to you, please.
Thank you, Anushka. Thank you for the introduction. I'll just share my screen. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining today. I hope I'll add value to all your lives. So today's session is on managing your money, and we'll delve directly into the topic. Yeah. So I've got two states of minds that are put on the screen. There are two pictures that represent the two different states of minds. Could you please use the chat function and tell me which one would you prefer to be in once you leave your job or become financially independent? How would you want to see yourself, state 1 or state 2? Please use the chat function. You can let me know. Okay, fair enough. Thank you. Yes, exactly. That's what we want. It's the obvious choice. But the question is, how do we attain this state of mind? Any thoughts, anyone? What do you think? How do you go about attaining this state of mind? I hope I'm audible to you loud and clear.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you. Anybody who would like to share their thoughts as to how you go about attaining the state of mind? Okay, fair enough. Thank you, Twinkle. Anybody else who would like to share? Okay, no doubt it's to do by not letting our energies being affected by others. But right now we are talking from a monetary aspect or a tangible aspect. So we'll talk about financial security. And the way to do that is through financial freedom, which is having more than enough resources to meet your requirements, right? So what are the ways that you could attain financial freedom? One is to earn more. Obvious, everybody says this, people who earn more live a better life. Or is it to save more? Or is it to save and invest more? What do you think? Is earning more enough? Any thoughts? Anybody who would like to share? You can use the chat function, unmute yourself, tell me. Do you think earning more is enough to attain financial freedom? Anyone who would like to share
Not
their thoughts?
earning more, Shrey, but invest more is like.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of investing more from the current which we are getting from the sources.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for that input. Anybody else who would like to share their thoughts?
I think all three is required.
Okay. That's a wise answer. Yes, absolutely, all three of them are required. But just if you could earn more and have a better financial future, things would be very different. We would see a lot of people living a better life who have a high package or a high annual income, but it doesn't happen that way. It's not just about how much you earn, it is what percentage of your earning do you end up saving annually. And it's not just about that, because money put in your saving account is not going to give you more than 4, 5, 6, 7% at max, right? These days you have banks which give you a higher interest rate. But that's not enough. Why? Because inflation itself, long-term inflation tends to be 6 to 6.5%. So you are barely making any money even with the best bank. So you got to earn, save, and invest. So earning more is not enough. I would say a person who earns an average or above average sort of income and saves a handsome percentage of their income and invests it religiously into good return generating assets is more likely to be better off than someone who earns a multi-crore salary, or is someone who has an annual profit which is in crores but ends up smoking it away in whatever way that the person can. Okay, so that's my 2 cents on how much saving and investment is important in life. Okay, so one question I would like to ask all of you is, are all rich folks born rich or some become rich? What are your thoughts? Is every rich person born rich, or do people become rich? Anybody who would like to share? You can use the chat function, get off mute, tell me. See, guys, the more interactive the session is, the better it'll be for all of us. Okay, both, fair enough.
Both are 50-50.
Okay, okay. Thank you for your inputs. Yes, it's both, but people also become rich. They're not born rich. That's what I was trying to get at. And if people become rich, is there a sustainable way to become rich? Is there a proven path to becoming rich? Anybody? Yes, no? What do you think?
Hard work or
Okay,
smart
hard
work.
work. Okay, smart work, no proven path. Fair enough. While there is no perfect proven path, but yes, there are guidelines that somebody can follow, or guardrails that someone can stay within, and it will be very easy for them to be at a spot where they are financially free. So that's very much possible. Let's see, before we delve into what that path or what the guardrail entails, let's go and see what is it that rich people do differently than people in the middle class or people who are poor. We'll just look at this very next slide. Are all of you familiar with, okay, continuous investment with clear objective? Thank you, Atul, for your inputs. Okay, so we are talking about basic cash flow. Okay, you know what income
Saying
is,
mindset.
right?
Shrey, there's another answer that Twinkle is saying mindset and habits.
Yes, that's a wonderful answer, Twinkle. We have almost the most part of the session on mindset and habits, and we will discuss that in detail as to what mindset and what habits can a person rich or financially free. Okay, so coming back to the slide, you see three categories: poor, middle class, and rich. So you are familiar with income, which is your take home. For a salaried person, it's the salary. For a business person, it is the revenue. And then there are expenses. For a salaried person, whatever household expenses you have. And then there are assets and liabilities. Okay. So a lot of uh, liabilities tend to look like assets. So if I were to ask you whether your home is an asset or a liability, most of you would say it is an asset, right? If I were to ask you your car is an asset or a liability, most of you would say it is an asset. If I were to ask you, is your phone an asset or a liability? Most of you would say it is an asset. But actually, all of them are liabilities. I'll tell you how. I would simply define asset as something that puts money into my pocket and liability as something that takes money out of my pocket. Now, this is not the accountant's definition. This is a logical definition to things. Okay. So do you end up gaining money from the house that you live in? No, you end up spending some bit for the maintenance of the house. Do you? Okay. Okay. So do you end up spending money or earning money from your car or bike? You actually end up spending money in terms of fuel that you put in. Similarly, in the case of phone, you recharge your phone, which is putting money into them. So quite a lot of times people assume liabilities that are in the form that look like assets or are defined by assets in accounting manner and invest in them. I'm not saying phone is a big thing, but yeah, it can become a big thing if you keep changing your phone every 2-3 years just to impress people. And but yes, car and home are two large purchases, right? And if you buy it very early in your career, when you do not have enough savings, what would happen? You would have to take a loan from the bank and you would eventually end up working for the bank because you would end up paying the EMIs for whatever you have bought, which is exactly what the middle class does. Okay, this particular idea is taken from a book called Rich Dad Poor Dad. It's by Robert Kiyosaki. You can go read it. It's a very simple book and it will give you a lot of insights into understanding how to become financially free or how to go about becoming a better investor or the mindset that you need and how do you define and look at the world. Whereas when you come to rich people, they do not invest in such things. They use their income, they keep their expenses low. They don't buy liabilities that look like assets. They actually invest in income generating assets. Like either it could be a real estate which they rent out to someone, or it could be stocks, it could be fixed income securities, it could be mutual funds, it could be anything. So that's the basic difference between poor, middle class, and rich. It is simply that all three have different choices in life. Okay. And where do these choices stem from? We'll discuss that when we come to mindset and habits. For now, let's go to the next slide. Okay.
Can
What
I
is
ask a
it?
question? Can
Yes,
I
please.
ask a question here?
Yes,
So there is an apprehension, yes, that the rich people have a different mindset and they don't invest in these items. But to my belief, there is because they will be having money, so they will invest in those items, maybe in a house or a car, or could be at a later point of time.
yes. We'll come to that particular part, Amit, in the subsequent slide. I have the answer to your question. Just hold on to your horses. Okay.
Sure.
Thank you. Okay. Okay, fair enough. Now, what is investment? If I were to ask you to define investment in a way that even a 10-year-old kid would understand, would you be able to do it? I've given it a shot. You tell me if I've done it right or not. Investment is foregoing one samosa for many in the future. Will that stick with all of you? I hope it does. We all love samosas, right? Okay. What causes the increase in samosas? We all have learned in probably our 5th or 6th class about compound interest, and that's the very thing which is called compounding, which has been called the 8th wonder of the world by none other than Albert Einstein. And that's the formula in bright green written for you. Amount is equal to principal into 1 plus return divided by 100. but I've just written return to the power number of years, right? Amount also is referred to as future value. Principal is also referred to as present value. Okay. How does this actually work? Here is a example where assume that you have a snowball and you have a snow hill which is quite long and it is sloping downward. So you make a snowball, a small snowball, which is the initial value or the principal, roll it down the hill. The length of the hill, the length of the slope of the hill, the hypotenuse or diagonal, is the time in years. Okay. The speed is equal to rate of return. You can call it the speed, or you could call it the slope. I've kept it speed because it would be easy to understand. Actually, it's the slope of the hill that is the rate of return. And finally, at the end of the hill, the size of the snowball is the final value of the amount. All you need is a hill full of snow and which is long enough. Even if its slope is not very steep and you roll it, you are likely to do well over the long term. Okay, that's snowballing effect is how people define compounding. That's the power of compounding illustrated for you. Okay, before I delve into anything else, I want to make a distinction very clear for all of you. The difference between investment and speculation. So the father of value investing, or the father of CFA profession or designation, Mr. Benjamin Graham, who also happens to be Warren Buffett's teacher. I hope you all know Warren Buffett, yes or no? Anybody who knows
Yes.
Warren
Yes,
Buffett?
yes.
Yes.
You all know Warren Buffett, right? So Warren Buffett is the greatest investor, or touted to be the greatest investor. His teacher was Ben Graham, who wrote a couple of books that were very, very interesting. One of them, not very interesting, very helpful. One of them was very interesting and easy to read, relatively easy to read, which is The Intelligent Investor. The boring one is Security Analysis. You would sleep a couple of times if you read that book, but never mind. It's very useful. The intelligent investor defines investment as an operation in which, upon thorough analysis, you invest into something that can generate return that is higher than inflation and meets your expectation. Okay. Anything not meeting that definition is not investment, but speculation. So if I were to define in layman's term, if you're putting your money after doing thorough research and putting it for the long term, when I say long term, I mean minimum 5, 7, 10 years. Okay. Even 5 years is not long term, 7 to 10 years is long term. That's when you do it that way, that can be considered as an investment operation, even when you don't know much about the security and you know that it's a mutual fund which is run by a good fund manager who is investing in the right assets. Even there, if you do it for the long run, it is investing. Whereas if you go on to a trading journey where you open a trading account and do intraday trades, buying in the morning, selling in the evening, expecting by praying to God that, the prices go up, or you do future and options without a strategy, just plain for the heck of the fun or the euphoria or the adrenaline, that is speculation for you. So that's the distinction between investment and speculation. I'm here to tell you about investment. I'm never in the favor of speculation, and I would never recommend anyone speculation. Okay, so I wanted to clear this before we go ahead. Okay, so now comes return on investment across different avenues of investments. So I've just taken the proxy for Indian equities to be Nifty 50, though we have 7,500 companies listed in the Indian markets. For US markets, I've taken S&P 500, and then I've taken gold, then real estate and debt. This is a table that has been picked from Money Control, and this gives you the compounding annualized rate of return for 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, 10 year, 15 year, and 20 year. That's the annualized return that you can generate across different asset classes. And at the bottom, you have got the long-term inflation, which ranges between 6 to 6.5%. Okay. So when you know nothing and you just go ahead and buy gold, which many wise women in our country do, they do not generate returns that beat the market, but they generate enough returns that's enough to beat inflation and make a substantial return over it, real return over it. Whereas if you are smart and you actually go ahead and invest in equity, especially when you're young, you can take exposure towards equity and you have a long-term horizon. That's why I'm saying young is really important. You are likely to generate a very handsome return, even with the top 50 Nifty stocks. If you go ahead and invest for the long run into mid-cap space, or say even a wider space, you could generate a couple of more percentage points in your CAGR. You could add a couple of more percentage points in your CAGR. So my point here is that you got to invest by knowing what is the return profile of a certain investment. A lot of people go ahead and invest in real estate. Yes, a real estate can be a very good investment. If you are very savvy investor, you can pick the right real estate. But if you're not someone who's very savvy as an investor, or you do not have the muscle power or the legal bandwidth to deal with the issues that come up in real estate, I would not recommend you to go ahead and invest in real estate. Real estate in general, in the long run, has generated a 9% CAGR. Yes, there'll be situations where you could double your money within 6 months, 1 year, but how sustainable is it? How many times, how often can you do it is what you need to ask yourself. So from a return standpoint, equities tends to be the highest return generating asset class, and you can gain exposure to equity either through mutual funds or directly investing in equities. But if you directly invest in equities, make sure that you learn thoroughly before you do that, because it's not a cakewalk. You got to learn for years and master the craft to be able to do it. Nobody ever becomes a master, but yeah, you will be somewhere and you will get to some point where you can be a better investor who can generate good returns. Otherwise, if you do not have the time, it's always advised to go ahead and depend on professionals. So now that we have discussed about mindset, we have discussed about how do we, what is it that rich people do differently? What are the different returns for different asset classes? Real estate boom has already happened, so it might not create enough returns nowadays. Okay, fair enough. Yes, that also is another reason. Real estate is a cyclical industry, Jagpreet, and hence it moves in cycles, and the cycles tend to be very erratic. It could be 7 years, 10 years, 15 years. You don't know unless you are a master of it. I am no master at real estate, and I don't claim to be very good at that. The general return is what I'm talking about, and your point supports that. But coming back, so now let's discuss about what are the impediments or the blockages that would hold you back in a wealth creation journey. First is inflation. A lot of people earn a lot of money. They don't invest anywhere. I will tell you, I had an accounting teacher who was brilliant with accounting. He taught amazing accounts, and he taught accounts to an engineer and a lot of engineers like me. And he was very good at it. He taught us how to analyze accounts, and we are grateful that he taught us that. But when we asked him, sir, what do you do with your money? He says, I put it in the bank or FD. When you do that, inflation is going to eat away everything. First of all, taxation is going to eat away most of it. Then comes inflation, which leaves you with negative real rate of return. So effectively, if with all your money, you could buy 1,000 samosas on year 1, by year 20, you would be able to buy probably 250 or 300 samosas. Okay. I'm using the word samosa or the example of samosa so that we can relate. That's how the value of money deteriorates vis-a-vis real things. And that's how inflation is very real in life. Okay. The next is expenses. A lot of us, when we get a pay raise or when we have a good earning, what do? We go for a party. Good. It's a good thing to go ahead and celebrate. And once in a while, you should do it because that attracts the kind of aura that you want to have. But when you overdo it, when you spend a lot, especially when your spending limit crosses your earning limit, that's when you start borrowing money. And you don't borrow money at lower rates. You borrow money at higher rates, either on your credit card or personal loan, which charge you a bomb sort of interest. And once that starts, it's a vicious cycle to get you out of. Hence, you should always cut your coat according to your feet. Expenses are really important. You got to monitor them very well. Create a budget. It's a very good thing to do. Habits, like Twinkle had told us, habits, exorbitant spending habits or show off habits can actually lead uh, to deterioration in our wealth creation journey or impediments in our wealth creation journey. And the last is borrowing. The sure short way to becoming poor is to borrow and borrow a lot of money at increasing interest rates. Okay, now that we have discussed this, so we all have heard from our parents, elders, where they keep saying that, easy decisions make a hard life later, and hard decisions taken today make an easy life later. Right? Do we all agree with this statement? Yes, no? Guys,
yes, sir, correct.
I hope
Correct.
you're listening.
Yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. Correct, sir.
We all agree to it, right? So let's see what are the hard decisions that we take today so that we can have a relaxed future like the couple sitting across the beach. Okay. First is try to keep your spending constant as your income increases, especially in the Gen Z or the current generation, not just the Gen Z, the current earning generation. We tend to see this pattern a lot, that as soon as they start earning a little more, they increase their spending limit also. They go more on credit cards, they buy things that they don't need. If you buy things you don't need, you will soon be required to sell things that you need. So please be very judicious when you are buying things. Ask yourself, do I need it? The internet era has made it very easy for us to buy things on a click, and it's actually detrimental to our own financial future. So every time you get an impulse to buy something, and then you have got some amazing folks telling you that there is something called a retail therapy. Of course, it is something that every retailer or every business would fund to get it out in the market and propagate it, because saying that retail theory is the best thing to do. But be judicious. Ask yourself, is retail therapy, sorry, I said retail theory, it is retail therapy. Is retail therapy good for my pocket or not? If you're buying things today that you don't need, you will soon be required to sell things you need. So be very judicious with even small expenses, because small holes can actually sink a large ship. Hence, uh, always make sure that your propensity of consumption does not increase with your rise in income. That's one quality that you can have as a person. And any person who has this, practices this for 20 years, is 50% through towards becoming financially free. The next is the next question would be, how do you do it? How do you go about keeping your expenses low? So one way I did it was I gamified my budget. I would say, this is the quantum of money that I've needed in the last 6 months, weighted average or moving average sort of, okay, 20-25K is what I needed as a bachelor to survive. And let me see if I can reduce it by 5%, or let me see if I can manage with this amount. And I would only let that amount be there in my bank account, no matter what happened, even even towards the end of the month. I would try not to draw from my savings, which was in another account. I'll talk about that as well. So gamifying your budget or keeping targets for yourself makes it fun and makes it economical, makes it a lot of financial sense wise, it becomes good for you. Okay, so the next thing to is have separate bank accounts for saving and spending. So if you are an employee, if your salary comes on 30th or 31st of a month, on first, put a standing instruction that from your salary account, X percentage of money goes into your savings account, and try to manage your expenses with whatever is left. Saving is what you do before spending, not after spending. Anybody who thinks they can save after they spend is is playing a very wrong game. A very wise game to play is to save first and then go ahead and spend. Hence, putting a standing instruction for your salary is one of the best things that you can do for yourself. Keeping separate bank accounts is a way to apply mental accounting, which is a concept from behavioral finance, which usually is seen as a negative thing. But here, because you are using it in the right way, two separate bank accounts can really help you save your money, as an automatic transaction takes that money out of you. Say, for example, if your salary is 50,000 and you think that you can survive with 25, 30,000, I'm just giving an example. Say it's 30,000. On the first, put a standing instruction that 20,000 will be transferred from your salary account to your saving account. No matter what, try to survive within 30,000. If you're not able to, you can always draw from your saving account, but try to play that game. That will help you a lot. Okay. A lot of people will suggest that you go ahead and make nitty-gritty budgets. I'm someone who doesn't have that much patience to do it. If you have it, good. Okay, that's a very good question, Shubham. We are coming to that. We have it. Save at least 50% of your income. Okay, I know it sounds a lot, and I'm not saying that everybody on day one should save 50% of your income. That's the ideal percentage. Ideal and reality can be two different things. You can move from your reality towards the ideal. Maybe you won't achieve it, but you can always strive towards it. Start with 5%, 10%, 15%, 20, 25%, and move slowly towards 50%. People who are able to save more than 50% or 50% of their salary and invest it properly can attain financial freedom within 15 years of their earning life. If they are able to increase their income also at say 12-15% CAGR, yeah, they can do it. And I don't have a hard and fast calculation that's from the top of my head that I'm saying, but it is very much plausible. Okay, so and saving happens before you start spending money. Okay, so we all said earning more is a good thing, right? Is there also a 30-40 rule? Yes, there is a 30-40 rule. There is a 20-40 rule. There are many rules that are there. Saving is fine, but to invest it somewhere efficiently is a whole different ball game altogether, where I get stuck. Okay, we'll come to that, Twinkle. Just hold on. We are coming to that. Good that you brought this up. So when you have internet which has penetrated so deep in India, you've created influencers all across the country, and some of them are good, some of them are supposedly good. We don't know. Okay, but my point is they create a lot of rules, or they pick some textbook rule and tell you You can obviously, if you understand, you can go ahead and follow them, due respect to them. But I would try to keep it simple and not tell you difficult rules. I would keep it simple. I'll come to the investment side. Thank you for reminding. Okay, we spoke about earning more. You got to create multiple sources of income. Okay, there was someone who mentioned passive income. Okay, so we hear a lot of people, especially if influencers tell us, you got to create passive income, you got to create passive income, but they never tell us how do we do that, right? So how do you think you can create multiple sources of income being an employee? Because your employer makes you sign a bond which says, I've been on the HR side, I have headed talent management for a fintech company, so I know what we get people to sign, and I also know how people go around and do things. But what do you think are legal ways to have multiple streams of income? Anybody who would like to put their thoughts? Okay, mutual fund, shares, FD, RD, okay, asset allocation. Asset allocation is not, asset allocation is a process, Japri. It's not the end all be all. Uh, Mutual fund, shares, FD, RD are avenues, yes. Rental income twinkle, good. Mutual fund, shares, FD, RD are there. FD and RD are ways in which you lose money, the bank earns money, nothing else. But yeah, because the return ratios are not very much in your favor. Crypto, my friend, crypto is a hyped asset. I would not recommend it to anyone. The greatest investor, Warren Buffett, who you might say that is old, 93 years old, doesn't understand technology, and hence he made a comment which said, I would not pay even $25 for the whole ecosystem of cryptocurrency. Whole ecosystem of cryptocurrency. That is what he sees as the worth of cryptocurrency. I think you should go beyond what appears and look at what is the real backing. Just because there is a buyer standing there to buy it does not mean it's a good investment. You should take it with a pinch of salt and understand things. Crypto is no investment. Okay. So yes, there are multiple ways to earn passive income. As you rightly said, you could invest and create sort of uh, uh, ULIPs. ULIPs are okay. We'll talk about the ULIP side of things, but yeah, coming back, you can put your money into assets like mutual funds or shares, and over a period of time let it compound. And as you grow old, like you do an SIP, where the mutual fund house gets to cut money from your account, you could also instruct the mutual fund house to sell a portion of shares and uh, transfer the money into your account every month, every 2 months, or every 3 months. That's called an SWP, systematic withdrawal plan. Okay. Rental income is one. Investing in yourself, invest in yourself. That's the best investment, but it's pretty vague. So yeah. Uh, Another way could be writing a book. If it becomes a good seller, you could earn royalties out of it. You could create something which earns you royalty. There are avenues for multiple ways of creating passive income. You could do freelancing work that doesn't sort of interfere with your existing employment arrangement. You could work extra hours in unrelated places. You could go give tuitions. I mean, yes, there are a plethora of opportunities that you can go ahead and explore. But the whole idea is, if you depend on single source of income for your survival, you are one step away from poverty. Hard as it may sound, it is the truth. If that income goes away, you will not have an income source. Whereas if you have multiple income sources, one goes, there are others who can take care. They might not be large, but they are at least flowing. If not, they are a psychological support, right? Okay. Yeah, ULIPs. ULIP is when an engineer came into the financial world and said, I'm going to make a cocktail of investment and insurance. Never make a cocktail of your insurance and investment. As it is, old insurance policies or the traditional insurance policies have been, invest in insurance. If the person doesn't die, you get some money back, right? That's called whole life insurance. Am I correct? Yes, no? It's called whole life, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's called whole
Is
life
it the
insurance.
same? Is it the same as endowment plans?
Yeah. Any plan, Amit, that tells you that you do investment and insurance like you are making a cocktail of gin and vodka. Sorry, but yeah, that's the corollary. Okay. If anybody is asking you to mix insurance and investment, you should ask what is the return that I'm generating. ULIP tells you that I will put a part of your premium into the stock market and then it will grow and you will also have insurance. Boss, tell me, if you have to invest and get insurance, why not do it separately? Which economic idea suggests you to combine both of them? It is nothing but that insurance agent who wants to earn a higher commission by selling you an endowment plan or a whole life plan, who is telling you all those ideas. If you actually go ahead and compute the number, you will not get a return of more than 4%. At best, you would get 6% after taxes. And ask yourself, does it make sense to do your insurance and investment together? If you're doing it, you are no different from everybody else. There's nothing wrong with you. Everybody has been doing it that way. Okay. So now that you have understood that you got to keep your insurance and investment separate, whatever the policy is, you can stop it and you can take a plain term life insurance. The earlier you take it, the lower will be the premium. What is term life? I pay a premium. Basically, I'm betting against my life. If I go off, my family will get a certain payoff because I want financial security for my family. You are substituting human capital with financial capital because the earning member or the breadwinner of the family is no more there. Okay. But if you combine both of them, you are jeopardizing your own future financial wealth. Those plans that start paying after 12th year or so are tax free on maturity. Boss, that is all the marketing gimmickry that they can do, they do it. Uh, that's I would never go ahead and try and mix or make a cocktail of insurance and investment, and I would never suggest anyone. Yeah, even if I had a gun on my head, I would not do that. That's a very bad way of investing. If you want to invest, just take that portion of money, divide it into two parts. Say, suppose, what is the usual premium that somebody pays for? What is the usual insurance premium that you pay for an endowment plan? Just tell me a number. Anybody? Just a number. Let's say it is 30K. Okay. Why don't you break it into two parts where you divide 30K into 15 and 15? Say, suppose your term life insurance premium is 15,000, put it there and do an SIP of 15,000. You would at least earn 15% return, 12, 15% return. Way better, at least double of what you would earn with insurance. Why do you want to earn lower return? Why do you want to retire later? Work more. Work more because you enjoy working. Don't work more because you have a liability for working. Those are two different things. एक इंसान शौक के लिए काम करता है, दूसरा खौफ के लिए काम करता है. शौक के लिए काम करो, खौफ के लिए मत करो. Right? We spoke about buying a house, buying a car, or big ticket purchases. I am never suggesting that you should not buy a house or a car. I understand the psychological safety that a house brings to you or to anyone. But the idea is to delay your investment into a house or a car. If you can delay your investment to your 40s or mid 40s of buying a house, especially, You can buy a car a little earlier, way earlier, because that's not very costly, or a vehicle. But if you could delay your purchase of the house a little later, let that money compound in mutual funds, give it 12, 15 years to compound, boss, you will never have to take a loan. You would be in a position where you could lend to someone if the time is in your favor. If you have a very good time, you could actually buy 2 houses, not 1 house. Ask anybody who has done so. They would tell you. One short way of getting rich or getting financially free is to delay your big ticket purchases to your 40s or late 40s, mid 40s, not late 40s. Especially if you put a lot of money during COVID. Yeah, you can always talk about timing. I would rather not time the market. Anyways, okay. Again, another thing, we see a lot of rather have a house in rent because home loan rates is way higher. Jakpreet, I understand that, but you know, home loan rates are the lowest among all the loans. You can get a real cheap loan. That's not a problem. That's borrowing at the cheapest cost. So that's not very costly, but buying it later and living on rent early in life is the wiser course of action that I would suggest taking. Okay, a lot of us tend to have this control-centric approach towards investing as we have in our life, where we say, you know, I will control everything. I will invest directly into the markets. If you know, if you have learned, if you're good at analyzing companies, if you're good at if you're good at it, boss, you can beat professionals hands down in the game. I mean, this is one game. Investing is one game where every rookie has a chance to beat a professional, provided they know their game, they are disciplined, and they have the time. If they don't have either of them, delegation is one of the best ways to work. Just delegate it to the mutual fund manager. He'll do it for you. How do you go about mutual fund management? Just go to an app called MF Central. It was suggested by one of my professors. Thank you to her. And MF Central is an app which is run by CAMS. It's near free service. It doesn't charge any commission. You might be charged some transaction fee. You will bypass any commission agent, directly invest in it. And it's fairly easy to download the app mutual fund for MF Central. You can explore it yourself and go ahead and invest in direct plans. Please invest in direct growth plans. Do not go ahead and invest in dividend plans or something. If you want money out, let money compound for more than 1 year and do an SWP. Or let money compound for at least 7-10 years and then do a systematic withdrawal plan. That way, if someone is 50 right now and by 60 they need the money, if they invest it right now, by the age of 60, when they have invested all the money, all through this time, they will be able to generate good return on it, and the money might multiply into double, triple, 4 times, quadruple. It depends on the market conditions. You do it and you possibly could get there. Yeah, Anushka, you want to say something?
There's a question from Suryakant. Please confirm, is it MF Central?
Yes, it is MF Central, Suryakant. It's a fairly straightforward app. Go for direct plans. Please note this word, direct growth. Do not go for IW, IDCW and all that. You will see multiple options. And when you are trying to invest in mutual funds, you see a lot of ads these days which say, you know, sun sabki kar multi, right? Sun kisi ki nahi. If you are investing in equities, go and invest only in equities. If you are afraid of going in small cap stocks, go invest in blue chip only. But don't try to mix and match things. अच्छा थोड़ा सा ये ले लेते हैं, थोड़ा सा वो ले लेते हैं, उस चक्कर में क्या होगा, आपका म्यूचुअल फंड मैनेजर जो है वो ज्यादा फी कमाएगा, आप पैसे कम कमाओगे और अपना रिटर्न को कम करोगे. वो मत करना. अगर उतना ही खरीदना है तो सोना जाके बगल से खरीद लेना. उससे ज्यादा सोना प्रॉब्ली आपके घर में होगा, आपके घर की लेडीज के पास. Okay. Have exposure to equity wherever you have a long-term horizon. We all are aware of ATC. यार HR याद दिलाता है ना? Towards the end of the year या beginning of the year अपने assumptions भरो. All employees. ATC पता है कि नहीं? EPF, PPF कुछ याद है? Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Correct. So in ATC, the highest return generating asset is equity. Go towards E.L.S., equity linked saving schemes. Invest in them directly. Okay. You will, whatever you would generate in any other place, you would probably generate multiples of it. Most likely generate multiples of it with E.L.S. Okay. And with ATC, you also, after 1,50,000, which is a combination of your EPF, PPF, insurance, whatever, okay, and your E.L.S. You have extra 50,000 provision to be put in national pension scheme. When you're allocating money in your national pension scheme, please choose highest allocation towards equity if you are young. Please note if you are young. If you are old, if you are in your 50s, please take this with a pinch of salt. Do it as per your risk profile. You need to understand your risk profile. A giraffe can go under the water and keep its neck out and say, you know, the water is not very deep, but that would not be the same for a goat. I have that picture going ahead. So please understand your risk profile. But if you're young, the thumb rule is that you can go ahead and invest in equity. NPS, the highest allocation towards equity possible is 75%, 5% towards alternate assets, and 20% towards corporate debt or something. And there is government securities. I would not recommend to go about that if you're young, but if you are old, go as per your risk profile. Okay. Mindsets to become better with money management. These were habits, Twinkle, right? Like you said. And like I said, we'll have habits and then mindset. Here are the mindsets. First is think long term. When I say long term, I mean 7-10 years. 3 साल को long term, 1 साल को long term, 6 महीने को long term मत बोलना. वो long term नहीं होता है. I mean, it doesn't work that way. E.L.S. भी 3 साल का long term बोलती है. So आप तो 7 साल का बोल ही सकते हो. Why to think long term? The slide has the rationale for it. The probability of making a negative return in the long term in a 10-year period is 0.3%, and probability of a positive return is 99.7%. So you know what I'm talking about. I have a rationale behind it, and it always pays to be patient. Okay, please be patient. It takes at least 9 months to produce a baby. Don't try to do it before that. That's a corollary or a parallels. Okay. Live your life to express yourself, not to impress others. You get to see a lot of people holding fancy phones because phones are today the status symbol. They own high-priced bikes and high-priced cars trying to show off. Please do not live a life where you show off money to your relatives, to your colleagues, to your neighbors. We all do it at some point in time. The wiser ones recognize it and stop their impulse. When they do that, they do a world of good to their own financial future. So please live to express yourself, not to impress others. That's the idea behind it. Never say yes to quick return opportunities like crypto. You know, 2 दिन में पैसा double. You never know, you could be standing in front of Bipasha Basu from the movie Hera Pheri, and 2 दिन में पैसा double हो जाएगा फिर. So always evaluate anything by understanding the risk reward ratio. Okay, you got to understand risk reward of something. So for every unit reward, you should have, for every unit risk that you're taking, you should have adequate reward for it. And we'll be scratching our heads. Yes, of course. Anyways, okay. So moving on. we also see, I also come across people who buy 10 funds and then say, Shrey, should I go ahead and buy the 11th one? I mean, boss, if you want to buy 10 funds, 10 फंड को पैसे देने से अच्छा एक इंडेक्स फंड खरीद लो भैया. अगर आपको डाइवर्सिफाई करना है अच्छी बात है, बट ज्यादा डाइवर्सिफिकेशन करोगे ना, जो आपके एचआर आपको सैलरी अप्रेजल में क्या बोलते हैं, इट इज बिकॉज ऑफ द बेल कर्व. It will exactly become the smaller bell curve. Okay, don't try to want too many things. Diversification only to a certain extent is good. Having 2 to 3 funds is more than enough. You do it more than that, you will end up listening or actually getting the result that your HR says during the performance appraisal. Why did I get 6%? Boss, it is because of the bell curve. You will actually see the bell curve, the normal distribution. Okay. Avoid checking the value of your investments frequently. A lot of us tend to just keep seeing the value of our investments every 2-3 minutes, 2-3 hours, or 2-3 days. Boss, if you keep looking at it, it is not going to grow more, right? Grow more was for Harshad Mehta. Let it be there. Don't come here. Don't let it come here. Jokes apart, always focus on the direction, not on the speed. Eventually, if you are invested in the right asset for the long run, you will generate good enough return and you will be well off in your life. Sorry.
Himadri, you want to say something?
Okay.
No, no.
Moving on to sorry. Wants to ask or say something? Okay, fair enough. Moving on to understanding risk truly. When you come across these mutual funds or financial experts these days, they define risk as the fluctuation in price to be the risk. That is the risk if your horizon is short term. But if your horizon is long term, if you're going to go from point A to point B, does it matter whether you're going directly as a straight line or you're doing a up and down path or you're doing straight up to down or down to up? Does it matter? Is it path dependent or not? That's a question for all of you. Is it path dependent or not? Yes or no? If you are supposed to go from point A to point B, does it matter which path you take or the end result matters? Anybody who would like to add their perspective? No, it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter. The end result matters. Hence, risk is, you need to redefine risk and understand risk properly. The definition of risk in long term is the chance of permanent loss of capital. If the chance of permanent loss of capital is low or next to zero, you can go ahead and invest. The fluctuation is in price is not risk. Of course, if you have a corona, the prices are going to fall because the business prospects are going to be bleak. But if you sell at that very point, that means you have realized the loss. If you are smart, you will not do that. You would wait for things to be normal. If you believe in the asset, if you believe that the business is going to get back, or if you believe that the mutual fund manager can get you out of trouble. If it is a mutual fund, it is a diversified portfolio of at least 25-30 stocks. So you can be reasonably confident and say, okay, let this time pass, it will come back to normal, unless you have bought it at a peak. Even if you have bought it at a peak, it will come back to normal after some years. All you need to do is be patient. And hence, this definition of risk you should apply to understanding reward per unit risk, which we discussed before. Please understand your risk profile. Like I said, if a giraffe goes into a lake and puts its neck out and says, you know, guys, it's not deep, come swim. Something that's not risky for others might be risky for you. Please understand that. Don't go by others' assessment. Go by assessment as per your risk profile. And there are two aspects to risk. One is willingness to take risk, which is more behavioral in nature or depends on our previous experience, our personality. And then there is ability to take risk, which depends on tangible things like a time horizon, our liquidity requirements, our legal requirements, our taxes, and our unique requirements. A lot of us are very ethical people who do not want to invest in companies that make cigarettes or get child labor to be done, right? So those are unique requirements. And then there are legal requirements. Some of us have legal requirements, like we can't sell a certain asset as long as so and so conditions are not true. So it depends on those constraints, right? So those are two aspects of risk profiling, and you got to understand it. That's all that I have for you. Thank you. You can always reach out to me and connect to me on LinkedIn. Feel free. That's a screenshot of my profile. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer. Please shoot.
Anyone has any questions, you can write on the chat box, or you just raise your hand and speak. Yes, Jakpreet, you can ask.
Yes, please.
You can unmute yourself. It will be.
Anybody else has any questions, feel free to ask.
Okay, Jakpreet has a question.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
people, yeah,
People
all right.
usually say that investing in jewelry is not a great option. I mean, if you know nothing, it is a decent option. The long-term return beats inflation, but it doesn't beat it by a very high margin. So it's not the best option, but it is a okay option. For know nothing investor, it is the go-to place. But if you are aware, like you are now, going towards mutual funds is a better option. That's my take. I hope that answers your question, Jakpreet. Okay. Anybody else has any questions?
Yes, I have one question.
Yes, Twinkle. Okay,
Uh,
so let me just complete Jakpreet's and then I'll come to you. Please. Okay. Sir, actually, when you purchase jewelry, the value of it usually goes down by 12%. Yeah, I mean, look at me. I'm not a jewelry person and I'm not in favor of buying jewelry. I didn't want to propagate my biases, but yeah, what you're saying is true. So you got to weigh it yourself and figure it out. I've given you the return generation potential of gold. Yeah, it does take time to recover. Okay. Yes, Twinkle, please tell me. Twinkle,
my question is that saving has never been a problem for me. I can save enough, but the thing is I do not know where to efficiently put it. Matlab, where can I get the best return? How do I put it? Where do I put it? Should I, matlab, just say I keep increasing my mutual fund area. I keep increasing the share amount I put in, but is there something else? Where can I best put it? How can I earn better returns? That is a confusion that still exists with me.
okay. Uh, so I've given you the return potential of different asset classes. I've told you the best avenue that you can go for. If you are someone who has the time to uh, research companies, track companies, and you develop a skill for it, direct equity investment makes sense for you. If you do not have time, capability, then delegating it to a mutual fund, investing directly in a mutual fund makes sense. For the best return potential, you can go towards from blue chip, from index fund to blue chip to small cap to mid cap to small cap. I mean, sorry, small, not small cap. I said index fund to blue chip to mid cap to small cap. All these are perceived to have different risk profiles, but we have tried to redefine risk in our discussion today. If you have a long-term horizon and you really have a long-term horizon of 10, 12 years, only then go for small cap or mid cap stocks, not for something, not
So
unless you have.
how do we know what our horizon is?
You should. Okay, so that's a good question. That's a very good question, and I appreciate you asking that. So the point, how do you know what your horizon is? Ask yourself, how much money can you put aside and forget for the next 10, 12 years? Okay, and invest that much money. If the money is more, then your general horizon is more. If the money that you can forget for the long term, or you do not need for the long term for at least 10, 12 years is less, then your overall horizon is low. Does that answer your question? I have tried to catch the nose by curling my hand.
It was diplomatically correct.
No, it's not diplomatically correct. It's absolutely, that's how you do it. That's how I do it.
I was hoping for something like, say, suppose a number, just say a number of years that you're focusing on, or by age basis, or
I've been telling you the number of years for long-term investing is 7 to 10 years at least. So if you can invest for 7 to 10 years, your horizon is long enough. But if you are going for mid-cap, small-cap stocks, at least have 8, 10 years or 7, 10 years of horizon. 7 to 10 years is good.
Okay.
And don't try to over measure things. Okay, there are things that can be measured and there are things that cannot be measured. So if we try to measure risk with a scale, we'll be like modern finance professionals who do a lot of gimmickry but don't reach anywhere in life. Yeah. All these risk professionals who are there in business, they try to measure risk and put a number to it. You cannot measure risk like that. You have to feel it. You have to understand how it is.
Right, but I meant more like, say, suppose if somebody is in their 20s, somebody is in their 40s, so their way of investing or something, would it be absolutely same? Wouldn't it differ a bit, or like?
So what did I say during the discussion? If you're young, you can have higher exposure to equity. When I say young, what do you define as young? Is it 20 or 40?
Mid.
More towards 20 and 30, right?
Right.
So that's the answer. The answer is in front of you.
Okay.
All you need is, what you are trying to do is get it out from someone else. You have it, you know it. Just
basically the process would be same. People towards the younger side would just invest more in equity because they can take more risk, and
right.
People towards the higher side would be more towards secured assets.
Right.
Okay.
There are 2 more questions, Shrey.
Right. So,
yeah.
Vadakurasi ma'am, the question is, what is the difference between SGB, gold stocks and gold MF? I have never invested in SGB, but SGB is sovereign gold bonds, which is investing in bonds that are backed by gold, and you do not have physical gold involved there. Gold stocks simply means, if you're talking about physical gold stock, then you're trying to buy physical gold. But if you're talking about gold, companies that invest in gold, that are into the jewelry business, then that is gold stocks. And gold MF is another form of investing in physical gold in an indirect manner. So that's the difference between the three. Okay, the second one by Ms. Shanti is, investing in the stock market is better or mutual fund is better. Okay, mutual fund, equity mutual fund tends to take your money and put it directly in the stock markets. If you have the time, energy, and skill to invest in stocks directly, mutual fund is a way to give money to the manager for something that you can do yourself. But if you do not have the time, skill, to do that, then mutual fund is a better option. Okay. Which one is more reliable? Mutual funds are reliable. They are regulated these days. You can rely on them. If you are young, go for equity mutual funds. That's a better way of going. I don't think investing is just one asset will be more beneficiary. Yes, it will not be more beneficiary. See, the whole result, why do you invest? You invest because you want more samosas tomorrow than you have today, right? How you do it is up to you. You do it through one way, 10 ways. It all depends. It varies from people to people. There are people who will go and do 100 investments and reach nowhere in life. And there are people who will do one investment and reach everywhere in life. So it's just a difference in perspective. And it's a choice. So people can succeed in either way. Okay. So yeah, it is advisable that you go across asset classes. So you anyways, by buying a house, you will have investment in real estate. Why do you want to gain exposure separately? Your wife, your sister, or your mother would have investment in gold. Why do you want to have it separately? So that's my take on that. Okay, which one is what else? Sir is like, okay, no. See, when you are investing in a mutual fund, you're not putting all your eggs in one basket, because mutual fund goes and invests in a basket of stocks, which are different baskets. I mean, it does not invest in one stock, it goes invest in 25 to 40 stocks. So one basket itself has eggs from different basket. So you're diversified already. Why do you want to go ahead and do it again and drag your returns down? Yes, please.
So there is one last question. Also,
Yeah.
you can scan the QR code on the screen. Jakpreet is taking his time to ask the question. All you can, other audience can just scan the QR code and give a feedback to Shrey, so we can have more sessions with Shrey again.
First year student, can you guide me in the path of? Okay, that's not a question that I can answer in this forum, but I do provide mentoring to people. You can connect to me separately on LinkedIn, and we can explore that option. Thank you.
All right. Anyone has any other question, or we should bind it up? All right.
Shubham
Okay.
Singhal is typing something.
So I was typing, it was a wonderful session.
Thank you.
Sure,
I
Shubham,
hope
you
it
can give us a feedback on the this QR code, and we'll share it with Shrey also.
Thank
You
you.
can share
So
the, yeah. Vinay, can you share the our social media handles? You can follow us over LinkedIn and Instagram. We are also in Facebook. For more sessions like this, you can join us there, and you can get us connect. You can connect with us over there. And Shrey has already shared his LinkedIn ID. You can connect with him also. And we will see you again on our next session.
Sure. Also, if any one of you want to get this kind of a session organized for another group or within your company, feel free to reach out to me. I'll be happy to do it for you.
Yeah, sure. We'll share the slides. You just write it on the feedback form. Hello, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Mhm. We'll have the list of your mail IDs will be registered, and then it will be easy for us to send you the the slides. PPT in chat. Shrey, can you do that? I don't think so. Chat will allow us to share that. You please write to us. Our mail ID is given already. I will share it over there.
Sorry, I was
All
on
right.
mute. That's not possible. Anushka would do it. Thank you.
Yeah. Obviously, that is not possible. You just write to us on LinkedIn or Instagram, or give us a feedback. We have shared the feedback form, and we'll surely share the slides with you. All right. Okay, sure. Thank you, Shrey. It was a very wonderful session and very interactive session with you. And all the audience were also very connected and understanding you. It was really good.
Thank you. Thank you, Anushka. Thank you for the